Tony Romo into the interview room here at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. He's the lead analyst for the NFL on CBS. Tony, first of all, welcome back to Pebble Beach. If we can get some comments on playing this week.
Yeah, I think it's it's always a special week for everyone who gets to come back here and play. And I've been here a few times, and it's just run first class all the way. And the joy that it kind of brings a lot of the amateur partners is really pretty unique. And then you get a chance to see the PGA Tour guys and how special they are, up close. And just a great week. Pebble Beach does a phenomenal job of putting this on, and the conditions are really pretty perfect this week.
And exciting news announced a little while ago, the Corrales Punta Cana Resort and Club Championship in late March. You will be a participant. I know you're very excited about that. Give us a little comment, please.
Yeah, I received an exemption into the Corrales Punta Cana, and I want to thank them. Just as an athlete, I think you always want to play and compete. And obviously I have a passion for golf, and I've been doing it, at different tournaments throughout my life, and I just think it's an honor to be, presented with that opportunity and get a chance to play with, some of the best players in the world and get to test your game and, see what you got.
All right, awesome. We'll open it up to questions. Yep, Alex, right in the middle.
Tony, two things. One, obviously with the schedule of the football season, you probably don't have a lot of time to play golf. So, what are you coming in? What kind of game do you have coming in? And then secondly, what's your best so far Jim Nantz story that you haven't really told publicly?
There's a lot of non-public stories that I have for Jim, but as far as the game goes, in years past, I feel like basically my story is like I played up until about 3 or 4 years ago, and then I stopped for, I had a couple of back surgeries and just tried to be smart about that. And with playing football, you already didn't play 7 months a year, really golf at all. And so I started back up this last year, and, last February and March, and just tried to, take it serious. And when I say that, I mean make it a point to make the routine and the schedule, about that. So I started that last off season, and then with the football season this year going on, it was much different. It wasn't like it was when I played. When you play, you never touch a club. Now, you may not touch it for 2 or 3 days, but you still have plenty of time on the other days. And I felt like for the first time in my life, I got to kind of have a progression through 12 months or 10 months. And that was interesting because that was just different. I'd never gone more than 4 or 5 months of playing of any kind. And so that's helped the game. I started off very rusty last spring and summer, and then I've started to see, some good signs here over the last month or two that I feel, good about with the game. And hopefully it'll show.
All right, Doug, and then Mike.
And that's it. No Jim Nantz stories. A good Jim Nantz story will be, there's a million of them. I think the one thing that people don't know, maybe it's not a story per se, but Jim is, like, behind closed doors is really funny. Like, I know he's got the voice of the Masters, and he's, hello, friends. And he's got that perfect kind of sound that we all like to hear. But when you get around him, I mean, he's quick-witted, he's funny, and he's a guy's guy, and, he's really enjoyable to be around. And, if I could think of one of the jokes he told me about you, I'll tell you.
All right, Doug, and then Mike.
So if I could give a public reading from young Jordan Spieth talking about you. He said he wants to beat the pros that are in his group. I mean, he thinks he can win this tournament if he played with us. Comments, please.
Jordan just set me up for failure a little bit, huh? Yeah, I played with Jordan a lot in Dallas, and, he's been great. He's helped me, with my game, obviously, and I think having an opportunity to be around a guy of that caliber and, really just as a person too, but really he's just, it's been great to see. I really believe you can learn through osmosis sometimes, just being around, just being a fly on the wall. And I know that's not the case with him because I'll badger him with questions throughout his entire round and then make him wait for me as we hit 3 more balls to get it right. So his longest rounds are definitely when he plays with me because I make him sit out there all day. But I do like to compete. I think it's enjoyable. I think some of the best things is to get out there and compete with them. It only makes you better. And it's something that I really enjoy, and I look forward to the challenge. maybe back when he was young. I feel like now I'd have to play pretty good, but we're getting tighter every month. One of these days, it's gonna shift.
All right, Mike.
Tony, have you changed your practice routine or regimen at all since getting the sponsors invite to kind of ramp up to actually playing competition?
You know what's funny is it's funny you brought up Jordan a second ago, because I really try and just copy him a little bit. I think what you want to do is, if you're going to be good at something, I really feel like you got to take the approach that it's got to be a routine. You got to make it obviously important. Then you got to do it, and you got to put in the time, and then you got to find the subtlety. And then when you get under the gun in pressure situations, you got to be able to, just rely on your natural instinct and feel. Because if you're having to really think and try, and there's so much going on in your brain, you're not going to be very successful. So my routine has been pretty similar for a while. I think this just ramps up your energy level. But as far as what I've been doing, it's been an analyst with CBS. When I wasn't doing that, it was trying to see how good you can be at golf. And like I said before, it was a bad first 6 months back this last spring when I started, and then I saw the significant jump. So we're starting to play where I feel more comfortable on the course daily.
You're in your late 30s now. Could you foresee a time or maybe a opportunity if you really ramped it up to maybe chase some type of membership at some point?
Well, I mean, you got to go play. You never know how good you are until you go play and perform. And ultimately, obviously the odds going against these guys are not great. I think we all know that. But I think that's what makes it really fun and enjoyable. And I also think the challenge that's presented is what a competitor really wants. I think that's what you always want to be around or be a part of. So I know it's about your own game and it's about improving. That's what all you're trying to do is consistently improve and get better. But you can learn a lot being around these guys and competing against them. And I think that does make you better.
All right, let's go to Brentley.
Tony, I know you've played U.S. Open qualifiers in the past, but you also played in the Western last year. Describe the nerves from that week, and what did you learn about yourself that week as a golfer that you could use to help benefit you in the Dominican?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I was playing some very bad golf for me last spring and summer, and I was just getting started back up in the game. And some of those tournaments really helped me because it kind of showed me I really didn't have a direction. If you're really going to do it, you gotta believe in something. You got to go figure out what type of swing you want, and then you have to go attack it. And you at least have a fundamentals to come back to, and then go back and almost try and. If you're always tinkering and you're always kind of, which is what I have done pretty much throughout golf, you're always going to just kind of shuffle up, come back, up, back, and that's always what it is. You just have to find something you believe in and then go attack it and get better. And I feel like some of the tournaments this summer, when I wasn't putting scores that I was used to in the past, I really felt like I needed just to start over, and then that's when I really started to try and figure out the routine and how to improve, and then what kind of swing you really like. What's the theory? What are we starting? Who's the swing coach? What's this philosophy that my fundamentals that I'm going to go back to, and that way you're not always just starting over. And so I think that started the path of playing better golf.
All right, right here, Ron.
Kind of along the same lines, what did you learn about yourself and your game playing in this event previously? And looking ahead to the PGA Tour event, what do you think you'll learn there? Has there been any blowback? I mean, when Steph Curry got the web.com exemption, there was some, chatter about whether he should. And have you heard anything? Do you expect to hear anything on that front?
Well, I know a lot of these guys, so, I'll just tell them, get out there, let's play before a couple rounds, we'll see what happens. I'll joke with them a little bit, but I think, if you play good, they'll respect you. If you don't play good, then you really aren't going to be respected very well. It's not rocket science. I mean, if you can hit a golf ball and you can hit it, if you hit a 5-iron and you hit it 205 yards and you can put it to a back right pin and fade it in there, they're going to respect you. And if you can't, then you'll probably get some blowback. So I understand that. That's why you got to go out there and play well.
All right, right here, Fatia.
Tony, you mentioned under emotion and under the gun, you need to lie on your feels. Do you feel any difference after your surgeries to regain the feel?
Yeah. You know, with 2 surgeries on your back, obviously it changes your golf game. And as far as the way you could practice stuff, the biggest thing was I wasn't able to play much at all, you know, a few years ago. And then Jordan introduced me to his back guy, Troy Van Beesen, and their team over there in Dallas. And that really started the path for me to get back into playing and being able to play and practice, you know, the way you want. And so when that started, that really, you know, allowed me to get back to enjoying it and really starting to try and compete. And then this last year has been about improving that back and getting stronger and getting to a point where I can play, you know, a week, 2 weeks in a row and practice, you know. So for me, that was real important, and that's helped me as much as anything. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. So that's been big.
All right, take a couple in the back over there.
Having not been on the football field for an extended amount of time, do you find yourself channeling more of that competitive energy towards the game of golf?
Yeah, I think I've always loved the game of golf. It's just you never can put in the time. I mean, the nice thing right now is just that if I'm not doing anything with as being an analyst for CBS, you know, I tell the wife, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to chip and putt this morning at 7:30. We're going to go short game for 3-4 hours. So it's like a job, you know, when you're off. And so when I'm off, that's what I like to do. And I enjoy the grind a little bit. And, you know, I know where I'm starting from. It's obviously, you know, I'm not 18 years old, but I think it'll be fun to really see how much I can compete and you know, see what kind of scores I can put up.
All right, let's take a few more. Let's go to the back.
Football question, Tony. I mean, I got to ask you, 3 days after the fact, I mean, what did you think of the outcome of the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was, I mean, just incredible offensive game. I mean, you see both teams, and I think someone told me it was the most yards in the history of an NFL game, which is surprising, especially with Philly's defense. And then obviously New England was really good scoring defense. But I think Doug Peterson and the Eagles staff put together an incredible game plan, and they really, I mean, to be that aggressive that consistently throughout was, I mean, that really is how you have to beat the Patriots. If you're just gonna do things and they're gonna be the status quo, I guess you could say, they're so prepared for, you know, most things that they know at some point you're gonna get a lead and you're gonna take the gas off, you know, the pedal, and they know you're going to run the ball on first and second down, and so they're going to all of a sudden play, and all of a sudden these guys are play actioning on first down, again on second, another throw, 4th and 1 play action up the sideline. I mean, things that people don't do. It's risky. Tight end goes up the sideline, it's a wheel route to a running back. If that guy's covered, there's no play. And the coaches are saying, I'm going to get this guy open. And in some cases they did. And then Foles playing as well as he did, you know, just outstanding. And then, you know, Brady with the ball at the end of a Super Bowl, we've seen that story a few times and just didn't go that way this time.
All right, Doug.
2 things, Tony. Would you ever, is this a one-off Dominican, or would you consider either asking for exemptions or trying to force spot?
Great question. I think who wouldn't want an exemption into, you know, plenty of, you know, incredible tour events? I think for me, I think the PGA Tour as well. I think everyone, like, we kind of want to see what happens, like, more than anything. If I play well, I think that obviously allows you to have opportunities that can come your way. If you don't play well, you know, so it's like a free agent in football. You get one shot. Hopefully you do well.
The other thing I was curious about, and you're kind of early days in your second career, but would you expect over time that you'd receive more criticism playing or in broadcasting?
I don't think you'll ever. I mean, I think coming into broadcasting, everybody told me about all the criticism that comes your way. It's like nobody likes you. It doesn't matter. Everybody hates every broadcaster. I guess that's all you hear about for the most part. But it was overwhelmingly, people were very positive, you know, when they came up and talked to me. And as a player, I mean, it's different because as a player, there's 31 other franchises who dislike you. So it's like if you're not a fan of our team, theoretically they don't like you, or at least there's a little bit of a built-up wall. You know, it's not like a golfer. Golfers, I mean, you can like them in Wisconsin, Texas, California. I mean, if you're not a fan of the Cowboys and you're in a different state or something, or you're not one of them, you're not going to really like those players. So I find that a lot of the criticism, it's always a lot worse with players because it's already built in. If you grew up a Steeler fan, you already don't like the quarterback.